That spark is being reignited this weekend. We have the divine feminine here coming through as the Empress, indicating that she is in her divine feminine era. She's glowing, she's magnetic, she's untouchable, she's abundant. We have the divine masculine coming through in his emperor form this weekend, steady, awakened, and ready. And the Ace of Wands, that's that fire between the counterparts. And so it's only just begun. Union is no longer a dream. I do feel this indicates destiny in motion. Are you ready for this weekend's message? Because it's pretty significant for the twins. Hit that like button and let's get into these weekend energies. Hey, welcome in everyone. It's Laura, and we are going to talk about these weekend energies connected to the Twin Flame Collective. We have a couple significant transits playing out. On Saturday, we do have the sun entering into Taurus, like I talked about in the weekly forecast. So happy birthday to all of my April Taurus collective out there. We also have Uranus in Taurus in a sextile to the North Node in Pisces the same day as the sun transitioning into Taurus. And then on Sunday, we do have Mercury in Aries in a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, and we're also going to have that Venus Pisces conjunct North Node Pisces, the final passing of these energies. I do want you to look out for a video, a special collaboration video that I will be posting on Saturday with Audrey from Dear Audrey on Instagram. There will be a link below in that video. So go check it out. We go into depth about these final passing energies connected to the Venus and Pisces transits. But let's talk about what's coming through for this weekend, because I do feel with the sun entering into Taurus, this is a very grounded energy asking us to embody the fullness of this divine connection, especially after all of the fiery energy of Aries season and all of these recent eclipses that have kind of been pushing us to clear the pathway. This Taurus energy is going to ground in this twin flame journey. And so this really is a call for both of the counterparts to fully embody divine love, not just to think about it, not just to dream about it, but to embody it in the physical reality. And so divine feminine, I do feel there's a deep call for you this weekend to nurture your body, nurture your space and your spiritual practices, right? Because you are the one that does magnetize these unions by becoming love. And we are already love at the core. And so we're not here to chase love. We are here to just embody the energy of unconditional love. And so divine masculine, I do feel there is a growing desire building for you connected to real, grounded, authentic connections. And so many of the divine masculine in the collective, 222 on the timer, they are awakening to their true authentic values, and they are preparing to take those tangible steps towards that union with the divine feminine, or even their own inner divine feminine. And with the Uranus and Taurus sextile the North Node in Pisces, this is awakening the collective to their soul destiny, right? The North Node is always a karmic, fated destiny point. And Uranus, well, Uranus is all about innovation and surprises. And so this is kind of opening up what I want to say is a very rare alignment of energies. This is a soul activation portal for the twin flames, and it's where we kind of blend all of these intuitive insights with this divine timing of all of these astrological transits at play right now. And so the divine feminine, I feel, is really leaning into that trusting of her intuition, and she is being divinely guided, especially if it's not being reflected in the third dimension. You do have to trust that you are still being divinely guided towards this union. And divine masculine, I feel, is where all of these sudden revelations are to be expected over the weekend. There's going to be a sense, I want to say, of emotional clarity and this spiritual opening. And so it could come through in dreams, it could come through in signs, or the synchronicities. The synchronicities have been very loud lately. The number syncs, the repeated numbers are constant, it seems, for many on the awakening journey. And so the combined energies coming through for the twins on Saturday is this sacred grounding energy combined with soul liberation. And so the twin path, I want to say, is really being called towards the integration at this point in time in order to ground this collective dream into reality. And this is all about releasing control, right? Because we do have to trust in divine timing. And I know that can be a big trigger for a lot of us on the journey to trust in divine timing. But this is where we stop waiting, right? And we just really embody living our life to the fullest, living our mission. And when we live in our mission and our purpose, that's when union follows suit. Okay, so a couple key messages that came through for me to remind the counterparts is your body is a temple for divine union. So please allow your body to rest and to integrate all of these higher light code activations that have been coming in over the last several days with the Mars transiting energy from Cancer to Leo. That's huge. Your body is a temple. So remember that. Union will flow to you, divine feminine, when you stop chasing and just start living from that heart-centered truth. Alignment is closer than I think. I really do feel that alignment is really closer than we all think. And so stay open to the surprises that Uranus is bringing forward, but stay unattached to any particular outcome. And so we have the sun in a square to Mars and Leo as well this weekend, which is going to create a clash, right? Those two energies don't really work the best together. And it's like the grounded calmness of Taurus and the bold ego of Leo. It can clash, but we always have the opportunity to choose peace over pride. And when we embody our truth, we're not here to perform it. We're just here to embody it. And with Mercury in Aries and a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, there is a huge possibility this weekend for breakthrough conversations. This might just be soul level insights and a breakthrough conversation between you and your guides and your higher self. But this really is the message where truth is rising in the collective. And this is going to be internally and externally within the collective. And with Venus and Pisces conjunct the North Node, we have to remember this is like the grand finale. This is the third and final passing. The first one began back in February, I believe it is, February. And then that was when it was going forward in Venus and Pisces going forward conjunct. Then we went through the retrograde. It conjuncted the North Node in retrograde. And now we're going forward and we're going through that third and final conjunction. And so this is destiny aligned grand finale energy, I feel, when it comes to closing out all of those karmic cycles. There's going to be unions, there's going to be reunions, and there's going to be sacred closures with the contracts that were there to catalyze the twins onto the path of union. And so there's a lot of heart awakening, right? Pisces North Node energy is the energy of the heart. And this is all about divine purpose and alignment, right? And so this is where we as a collective begin to return to unconditional love. And so for the divine feminine, I do feel this is the final release of all of these old wounds. And I've been feeling it. I can feel in the background, in the collective energy, this deep urge to just cry and purge it out. And so it's the final releasing of these wounds in order for you to find that strength to speak your truth and to anchor into your inner worth, because we are inherently worthy without having to do. We're worthy just being, okay? And divine masculine, this resistance is going to give way to a new sense of soul recognition, I feel, coming through. And so you're transforming your thoughts in the energies this weekend. And this is where your true expression can fully begin. And so we're going to go deeper into some cards. I am really feeling the Greek mythology energy. So we're going to pull in with the Mythic Tarot and my Greek mythology oracle deck. We'll see what other messages need to come through for the twins for the weekend. So stick around and let's see what the cards have to say today. All right, let's get right into this message because I do have to say this is such a beautiful tarot pull today. All of the cards came out upright, which is a huge indication that things are headed in the right direction. We're going to break this down section by section because I do feel there's such a big message coming through this weekend for the Twin Flame Collective connected to karmic closure, soul truth, and stepping into divine union. So let's start with the Oracle card insights first. And I am using the classic mythical Oracle deck. And the cards that came out for the Divine Masculine is Harpies and Pandora's Box. And so on the Harpies card, it speaks of enemies, danger, negativity, and gossip. And we all know what Pandora's box is, right? And so there is going to be a revelation. But in the midst of this revelation, there is going to be a lot of chaos. And in the midst of all of the sorrow, there is this energy of hope. And so I do feel the Divine Masculine is currently surrounded by a lot of chaotic energy. There could be a lot of external projections surrounding the Divine Masculine. There could be gossip. There definitely could be karmic interference. I see that down here in the bottom row of the combined energies between the twins. But I also feel there is also a deep internal conflict that is stemming from some past regret or shame. And the Pandora's box energy, I feel, is suggesting while all of this truth is coming to light, this is basically causing some temporary chaos and possibly sorrow. But through this all, there is an energy of hope being restored. And so this is a huge indication that the Divine Masculine is waking up, likely after confronting a deep karmic deception or dealing with some manipulative energies. And so now I feel the Divine Masculine is kind of standing at that threshold. And so Divine Feminine, I love it. You have the Midas touch. And so this is a complete reversal for you. It does speak of reversal of fortune, wealth, prosperity, and success. And so after moving through all of the heartbreak and going through the deep process of inner solitude into that timeline of abundance, it's here. The expansion, the creative power, you are stepping into the energy of complete and total abundance where everything you touch is going to turn to gold. And so keep staying on that path of purpose and trust that this truth is going to magnetize not only the union for you, but this full spectrum of prosperity, okay? The combined energy for the twins, we get the Artemis card, and this is victory, I want to say, after the hunt, right? We do see the hunt, and we do see the stag energy, which is a representation of leadership. It's a one card, and so there's a manifestation coming through in the energies this weekend, and the card to say achievement, victory, triumph, freedom, and completion. And so this is the end of a very long chapter of closing out karmic cycles. Both of the twins really have been on a solo path, overcoming all of these karmic wounds, these karmic cycles, the self-deception, the external deception. And Artemis, I want to say, is speaking of triumph of this divine alignment, and freedom is around the corner. There's soul mission activation, I feel, and there's going to be a coming together after a lot of hard-won battles. Let's quickly touch on the bottom of the deck. We did get the Hades card. And so the twins have been to hell and back on this journey, I have to say. And so it is in the darkness that we go through this deep internal transformation. And we do have to transform that shadow self. And this does lead us to a victory on the other side of these challenges. And I just want to quickly touch base with the card that was below Hades, because I do feel it's significant. And we have the Andromeda card, which is speaking of rescue, frozen, and in action. And so I know it feels like we get frozen in time while we go through facing this inner beast, this inner dragon. But I also feel a deep connection to Andromeda starseed origins being activated. And I do feel love, passion, desire, and romance is being restored in these connections this weekend. And so let's talk about the tarot spread. I pulled 5 cards for the Divine Masculine, 5 for the Divine Feminine, and 5 for the combined energies. And what I love is the Empress and the Emperor came out in today's message for the weekend. And that is divine union. That is the true divine counterpart pair coming through. And so the current energy of the divine masculine is this Ace of Wands. And I do feel Aries energy. I do feel very strong Aries energy. And I do feel now that Neptune has moved into Aries and we had the Mercury Neptune energies playing out, this is really igniting the masculine's passion and fire to face all of these challenges and possibly even to put these challenges behind him. And so the Ace of Wands, I have to say, is a powerful inner ignition for the divine masculine. There could be a spiritual or a sexual awakening, but I feel this is that desire to act and to take action towards a reunion or a reconciliation, because the next card out is the Six of Cups. And this is all about nostalgia and longing for the divine feminine and wondering, is she still holding up that cup after all of these emotional blockages, right? And it does appear like she's still holding up that cup, waiting for the counterpart to recognize her and to see her inherent value, right? She's dressed in white. And so the feminine has gone through a deep level of purification. And I do feel this past life connection is being deeply felt by the masculine in the energies this weekend, okay? The next card out, we get the Seven of Cups. And so this is kind of actions and decisions, but I feel there's confusion because I do feel below the surface there is still some kind of temptation that is lingering, whether it's a karmic illusion or an external person, or maybe there's just a lot of energetic distractions, but Spirit's like, here, this cup, pick that cup, right? Is really guiding the masculine towards the next point of action, right? And then we get the Nine of Wands out, which is the spiritual insight coming through. And as you can see on this Nine of Wands, there is a lot of stormy emotions coming to light. And this is always what I say, the wounded warrior card. And so I feel he's pushing forward through this emotional exhaustion. And I do feel he's being very protective of his heart. And so I do feel a revelation is coming in very quickly about what it is the masculine needs to walk away from, because the fifth card out is the next steps. It is the potential movement. And I want to say this is like walking the walk of shame is really what this feels like, right? And needing to walk away from that karmic situation. Something about that last full moon has really illuminated where the masculine needs to go. And I do feel this is walking away from anything that is no longer resonating, his new frequency. And this is a necessary emotional departure that the masculine is making. So we go from the 6 to the 7 to the 8. And so I don't think this is a very easy decision for the masculine, but there is a huge indication of progression and emotional mastery because of all of the cups, okay? So I kind of feel the divine masculine is awakening, reminiscing on what's real, and still sorting through some of those illusions and distractions, but there's an awareness, right, of the past wounding, of the past life connection, and ultimately a choice to leave behind what is no longer serving him, okay? And so divine feminine, the first card out for you is the Three of Swords, and this is your current energy, and this definitely aligns with that final purging, that final emotional purging, and the final acknowledgement of the past heartbreak, of the betrayal in this connection. Whether it's recent or not, I do feel this is deeply resurfacing for that final clearing for you in order for you to step into the Empress. And there's an Empress there. She is ready to reap her harvest. So I don't know if you've been in the thick of it. I want to say since about the last November, the 11/11 portal in November, you probably planted a seed. And there's something coming to fruition now, possibly around the full moon in Scorpio. But I feel this really is your emotional state coming through. And so this is you rising from that pain, rising from the pain and embodying that creative power. And so you are birthing this new reality, I want to say, from within. So flow. You see the river in the background and you're being called to flow. And so the Hermit is the next card out, and this is about actions and decisions. The Hermit isn't the one to take the action, and so your next action is to just spend this weekend in deep contemplation, deep introspection, And trust that this wisdom is always earned from isolation, from solitude, and this inner journeying, okay? We get the Lover's card out next, which is your divine guidance. So I love it, right? And let's face it, we all have a choice. The divine masculine has free will, the feminine has free will. Life is all about choices, but we are not free from the karmic wreckage of those choices that we make, good or bad. And so there's a choice in this divine connection. And so I also feel you are being called to make decisions from a soul-led place and recognize the sacred union that is coming forward, that is being presented to you. And the last card out is the Wheel of Fortune, which perfectly aligns with the Midas touch. Okay, and so I just feel like the wheels are spinning. Destiny is really beginning to turn into your favor. And so this karmic cycle is complete for you, divine feminine. And I do want to say those blessings are on the way. And so you're moving through a portal this weekend of sacred alchemy. And it is always about alchemy within, okay, divine feminine? And so you are transmuting all of this pain into that power, right? And into divine love. There's clarity, there's divine love. And the wheel is turning basically to reflect all of the inner healing work that you have done. And this is going to match that soul path that you have created for yourself, okay? And so let's talk about the combined energies, because the first card out is the Emperor, and another indication that the masculine is moving beyond challenges. And so this is an indication that these connections are going to be more conscious. They're going to be more grounded. They are becoming more stable with the masculine energy coming through. And I do feel this is a clear indication too that the masculine has also done that heart healing, because the Three of Swords is above the Emperor. So as you heal, he heals, right? When you move, he moves. As you heal, he heals. And so let's talk about the next card out, because this is where the connection still currently stands, and we're still sitting in that Five of Wands energy. And so there's conflict here because of the karmic interference that is still very present. And I do believe this could also be an external battle created from all of this inner turmoil, because as within, so without. And so there's still that dragon that needs to be faced. And I do believe this is connected once again to that karmic influence. She's still coming out pretty loud in the readings. It's like she's got that ball and chain around the masculine. And this is all because of her seductive, fiery, manipulative energy that I feel really is still lurking there. And so this is the karmic theme. This is the union lesson. And so until you integrate and heal your shadow self, divine feminine, that karmic feminine is still going to be very present and lurking in the divine masculine's energetic field. And so the next card out is the spiritual alignment, and it's the Death card. There's that Scorpio energy. And so there is a major karmic ending happening. There's transformation this weekend. There is that final closure. And I do believe it's due to that third and final conjunction between Venus and the North Node. But we do need to keep in mind a few days later, we will have the Venus conjunct Saturn, and that will bring the completion, full circle of this karmic lesson and this final karmic closure. And the last card out was the Devil. And so the incoming future trajectory, I have to say, is that temptation is still lingering. There are still ego patterns here that need to be worked through. There could still be addictions or a toxic sexual dynamic that needs to be cleared. Ultimately, though, I do feel this twin flame connection and union is stabilizing through the divine masculine's rise. It is through the Emperor's rise. And so I do feel the masculine is in the final test. And without this final test, I do feel that karmic feminine is still going to try to create that conflict, right? There's still that energy here creating conflict and temptation. And so I do feel the Devil card kind of, for me, is serving as a warning, a big warning for the twins this weekend to stay in your light, stay in your truth, because liberation is here, but ultimately it does have to be chosen. And so I do want to quickly mention, if you remember the cards on the cut, I'm just thinking of that right now. We did have the Six of Wands and the Chariot. And so victory, I want to say, is inevitable because that's how we kind of started off the tone of the reading. And so forward movement is already in motion. I do feel that, especially for those who are aligned on their soul path. And I do feel that is definitely connected to the Artemis energy, right? The triumph that came through. This is validating that this union is not just a pipe dream. It really is an outcome of this personal and spiritual evolution of this connection. Okay, so let's talk about the bottom of the deck, because we did get the Knight of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles. And this is the divine masculine energy coming through, the long journey, the slow but steady maturation of the divine masculine into somebody very dependable and ready to build long-term stability, right? And then the next two cards out, we got the Fool with the High Priestess. And I do want to touch base because below that was the Queen of Pentacles. And so there's a leap of faith here, being guided by the divine and by intuition. And I do feel the Queen of Pentacles is showing that the divine feminine is in her receptive, abundant, grounded state. And together, the twins are a true match. There is a true pair here on the board. And so spiritual trust is needed. And that is the key to this union. And so I do want to say, I feel right now we are at a major turning point this weekend. I also feel that there's a final karmic purge. Look at that. Oh yeah, 10 of Wands, right? That final karmic purge and release of the burdens. And I do feel this is especially for the divine masculine. And there's a huge energetic opening for divine union. That Holy Grail cup is still there, but it might require an offer, an apology to remove those blocks, right? But I feel the divine feminine has done that deep inner work, and she is now aligning with that abundance of love. And so the divine masculine is choosing to walk away from what no longer serves him, but that temptation is still circling. So stay in your truth, embody your mission, and trust that union is flowing through the devotion of the soul, not the fantasy. And that is what I have for a weekend check-in. If you'd like to go further with me, please feel free to check out the links below. I can book you in a twin soul reading. If you're not ready for a reading, I do have a twin flame alignment book, a twin flame guidebook, a 22-page ebook. If you'd like the twin flame guide, comment twin flame guide down below. If you're not ready for the guide, I do have a free guide to help you decode your birth chart to understand the astrological insights a little bit better for your twin flame journey. Have a great weekend, everybody.